Welcome to another episode of No Ordinary Woman, where we recognise and celebrate women of all ages and all stages. I'm Fiona Briffa, and today I have Hayley Scott joining me. Hi, Hayley.
Hello.
All the way from sunny WA.
It is very sunny today, actually. Yes, which is nice.
A little bit jealous, but we won't get hung up on that. But the reason why I've invited Hayley on today is to talk to us about her No Ordinary Woman story around her diagnosis with MS and just the ways it's impacted her life, but what she's done anyway in spite of it. And so, Hayley, talk us around the diagnosis that you received at Christmas in 2014. What went through your mind when you got that diagnosis?
Yeah, feels like a lifetime ago now, to be honest.
Yeah.
And look, lots went through my mind. It was quite a shock, obviously. It's not something that you expect. But immediately when I found out that I was being diagnosed with MS, it was, okay, what are we going to do about this? That was my immediate thought.
Yeah.
I had a really crap day at work that day. I went to the neurologist and he showed me the report and said, this is where we're at. What are your thoughts around this? And I was like, okay, well, that's really rather crap. I've had a shit day at work. What to do about it? That was my response to him. Because like most things I deal with, it was not going to be something that I was going to kind of let get in my way. And it was more, right, what do we do to move forward?
Right. So immediately kicked in, well, okay, this is what it is. It's not going to define me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Like, I don't know how I would respond, whether I would first have a meltdown and then get to that conclusion or whether I'd be able to get to that conclusion right away. I think that speaks a lot to your character, because you are very much a sunny disposition. Let's see what we can do about this. So what sort of symptoms did you have that led you to go to the doctors in the first place? Because I don't know a lot about MS, and I don't know that somebody watching might be interested to know.
Yeah, I actually, I'd gone on a trip to Melbourne with one of my girlfriends. We were going to see our 80s heartthrob, Rick Astley, who I absolutely adore.
I'm gonna give you love. Yeah.
So no judgment on that. So we'd gone away for the weekend to Melbourne, and I woke up on the Saturday morning and I basically had pins and needles from my waist to my feet and in both my arms and hands. I could still function and move and all those sorts of things, but it was just this really odd sensation. And I knew immediately that something wasn't right. And I remember ringing home and saying, I've got this weird kind of feeling. And so when I got back to WA, I rang my GP straight away on the Monday morning. And of course, you can't get into a GP straight away. So I actually presented to emergency because I knew that something significant was going on. But like most things, when you get to the hospital, you kind of don't really want to be there either. So I kind of just went through the kind of motions there, and then I went back to my GP a couple of days later and was really fortunate because she could also see that something significant was going on, and got me booked in for an MRI basically within the next day, and I recall to say we need to send you off to see a specialist. So I was very fortunate that I got diagnosed really very quickly in the grand scheme of things. And that really helped because then you can get treatment really quickly and things like that to really slow the progression. So I actually see that as being a blessing for me that I got diagnosed quickly.
Yeah, right. And so there is treatment available. So is it something that can't be cured, but it is treatable to keep it at bay? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So there's no cure at the moment. They also don't know what causes MS. It presents differently in everybody. So symptoms and things like that can be really different for different people. So it's really hard sometimes to do that diagnosis. So there is no cure, but there are disease modifying drugs that can help slow the progression of the disease. And hopefully, in that time that, we're delaying the progression, that they'll be able, science is a wonderful thing. And hopefully that they will find a cure for us.
Look what it's done in the last 12 months. It's certainly shown that when it puts its act together, it can do stuff. So what are the ongoing symptoms that you experience daily then?
So I had the steroid treatment for 5 days after I was diagnosed, and that's because I've got lesions in my brain and there's one on my spine. So the one on the spine is the one that kind of we keep a real close eye on to make sure that doesn't flare up.
Yep.
And so fortunately, after that steroid treatment, I did regain, I no longer had the pins and needles effect in my legs. I never fully regained the sensation in my hands. So I still have this really odd kind of tingling feeling in my hands.
Right.
And particularly when it gets, when I get hot and things like that, I can't kind of regulate heat and things like that as well. So that they kind of have that sort of sensation.
Yeah, right.
Fatigue is a really very common sort of symptom with people with MS. And again, the heat tends to be quite a trigger for me for that. And it can almost come out of the blue as well. You know, one day I can be out, you know, completely fine. Then the next day it just kind of hits you.
Right.
And it's just a kind of, I guess, a tiredness like no other. It's not just I'm feeling a bit flat and tired today. It's that the whole body says, I'm going to just kind of get you to stop and rest today. It's all encompassing. So.
Right. More chronic fatigue, a little bit like I'm only 60% sure I'm actually awake right now.
Yep. And my body's really heavy, and even if I sleep for 6 hours, I still wake up and I'm still pretty groggy and tired. So that's probably the most common thing that I get. Bit of brain fog as well, which doesn't help, particularly in the line of work that I do as well. But sometimes my cognitive function is off. But
and yet you still show up with a smile on your face every day, and this is what's amazing. And the thing that I really wanted to highlight is that because you took on that, right, what am I going to do about this? It's not like take my bat and ball and go home and go on for me. What am I going to do? I'm not going to let this define me. And then you decided that you were going to start running. Now, tell me about that. Like, because honestly, Hayley, the only time you will ever see me run is if something's chasing me. Otherwise, that's never going to happen.
Reason too. I'll say that's. I would definitely encourage that.
Otherwise, you will not find me running for any reason. And so I admire people that are running, but like in spite of everything that your body is going through, you decided that you were going to run. Why did you decide? Oh, actually, that's not. What made you decide that?
So one of the things that the neurologist had said to me was, you know, staying fit and healthy and, you know, was going to be really important for me. And it had been a while since I'd either visited a gym or, you know, taken any sort of exercise. So I thought, okay, I need to take some of this a bit seriously now. I'm somebody that really has to have something to work towards. So I needed to really think about what that was going to be. So I decided that I would start running and basically do the City to Surf here in Perth. And I thought at the same time it would be a really great opportunity for me to raise awareness of what MS is and some of the symptoms and, you know, all of the things that go with it. And also raise some money for the charity here, MSWA. So 2015, so after my diagnosis in 2014, that was my first City to Surf. And then I've basically done it every year with the exception of last year. I've done a run every year since. So I was running the 12K. So each year it would be, I'd just start training and do the event in August. As I say, the heat really affects me. So I can't run during the summer months.
Well, in WA, I imagine.
And even now.
Tasmania is quite cool. Have you thought about moving?
I'll just zip over there just to so I can get some runs in. And then in I think it was 2017, I decided, well, the 12K is, you know, I've done that a couple of years now. That's not cutting it anymore. I think I want to do something else. So I signed up to do the half marathon that year. So one weekend I ran the 12K in Busselton here in WA, and then 2 weeks later I ran the half marathon in Perth.
Wow. And I love the thought process that took you from the 12K City to Surf runs to the half marathon was, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I can do 12Ks, surely 24Ks isn't that much harder, right? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah. So I kind of thought, you know, if I could run half of a half marathon with not a lot of kind of training and stuff, surely I can do the extra other half.
What's the difference? It's 12 Ks.
Yeah.
12 Ks difference.
Yeah. So it was, so 21 Ks all up. So I thought if I can run, 10, 11 Ks without much kind of training and whatnot, surely the extra
I could do another 11.
So
right. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I did.
And so then you started training for the half marathon, and you only just did that not long before the half marathon. Is that right? You started training for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you didn't even, like most of us would go, I'm going to give myself a year to train for this half marathon. Hayley, how long did you give yourself to train for the half marathon?
I think it was probably about 6 weeks.
What a woman. All right. So this is why No Ordinary Woman exists, to show people like this. Go. And so then you ran the half marathon, which was just recently, was it? When was it?
Yeah, so I did one just recently on the 1st of August.
That's right, yes.
Just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yep, the first. And you finished?
I did, absolutely. Yeah. There's no way that I won't finish these things.
Yes.
Even when I think it was at 17K this time, I got to 17K and my body was saying that, like, you've got nothing left in the tank. Everything hurt, but I knew that my mindset wasn't going to let me even walk just for a minute. So I kept running and didn't give up. And that is that mindset and that can-do attitude. Even when your body's saying, computer says no, your mindset's going, oh hell no, I'm not going to give up on this. So it's, and in spite of like the pain that you would be feeling on top of the normal, like say if I ran 11 Ks, you'd be feeling a whole different kind of hurt than what I would be feeling. And all right, so you say mindset, what are you telling yourself to push yourself through that level of pain? And like, because you could quite easily just stop and go, at least I gave it a go. But what were you telling yourself to get through? It was really clear for me, like even before I started, that I knew, as I say, that mindset was going to get me through this. But when I got to the point where it really hurt, I just knew in my mind, I was saying, I know that my legs can carry me. Our bodies can do amazing things. So I just kept kind of reiterating these sorts of sentiments to myself. And also that I knew that I'd actually be really gutted if I didn't finish. And I thought, it's an extra 4Ks. Like it's in the grand scheme of things, whilst this is really bloody hard right now, you're going to be so disappointed with yourself if you don't just push through and get to the end. So as I say, even right from the start, it was, our bodies can do amazing things. I know that my legs will carry me.
So you prepared what you were going to do to overcome those hurdles first. And I think that's a really important key. If there's anything, if anyone's watching that wants to do something, and it doesn't even need to be a half marathon. It might even be just something as simple as starting mild exercise for the first time to get into shape. It's about working out what are the things what are the obstacles that I'm going to face down the track? What is potentially going to stop me, and working out how what strategies you're going to use before you even start so that you can overcome them. Because it's much harder to overcome them when you're in the middle of the pain or when you're ready to give up if you haven't already pre-prepared. That's the key. And dealing with that, I would rather the pain in my body at the end than the pain in my heart and my spirit if I give up, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Wow.
And because I knew that, like, you get to the end and then you get to stretch and you get a banana and you get some water, and I knew that I'd be all good at the end. So
yay, banana.
I knew I'd need that at the end.
It was worth the pain. I got a banana.
I knew I'd need it. I did have some chocolate as well, though, I won't lie.
All right, yeah. Well, you need the energy, Hayley. You need the energy afterwards. And how did you feel when you got to the end, apart from in pain, but how did you feel when you got to the end of that race?
It really does feel amazing. And doing an actual event is really important for me because, as I say, the City to Surf sadly wasn't on again this year. So I was able to find another event here in WA. My plan was to run anyway, regardless of whether there were going to be any events. But it actually makes a real difference when you do an event with other people. So other people motivate and inspire you. So I'm not a fast runner by any stretch of the imagination. I'm usually bringing up the rear, but it's actually not about that for me. It's not about how quick I do it. It's actually the fact that I put myself through that and can do it.
Yep.
So getting through to the end, I won't lie, I felt incredibly proud of myself again this year, particularly because this year I was saying the weather was absolutely horrific. You could not have picked a worse day to run a half marathon. It was, you know,
torrential
rains, winds, torrential rains, hail. You know, we're running on the river, so that literally at one stage the river was coming right over the edge, right next to me. So it was chaos, and it was not at all the type of event that I would ever like to be participating in. So to have all of those conditions on top of, you know, doing that, as I say, I actually felt really very proud.
Yeah, because you're not only doing what you set out to do, you were doing in the worst possible conditions and overcoming all those other obstacles as well. And even just your story in itself is a really good metaphor for other things that we tackle in life. And I want to just go back to you saying you're not trying to win the race against the other people. You were just trying to win your own race against you. And I think that's a really important and encouraging message, that when we go through life, we can tend to compete with other people and think we've got to be better than or faster than or whatever. But if we set our own goals and targets and just go, I want to achieve this for me, not to beat them or be the best at something, but to do this for myself, is a much healthier goal to aim towards, and maybe more realistic as well, right?
Absolutely. And you know, it's really funny, I'm an incredibly competitive person, so you know, for me,
did anybody else spot that?
So for me to actually say, you know, I'm going to do it just because, and not because I want to, you know, try and do it quicker than somebody else, is actually a really hard thing, because I actually like to be really good at what I do. But as I say, for me, this every year is not about that. It is about the fact that right now I can still show up and I still can run. One year the theme for MS awareness was we run for those who can't. And that's a really powerful thing for me, because I've got, you know, friends that have been diagnosed with MS who struggle terribly. So for me, it's about doing it for them as well. So it is about showing up and being able to just do that. And as you say, not about being the winner on the day, because as cliche as this sounds, I absolutely am the winner on the day because I've been able to do it.
Oh, I love that. You are the winner on the day. And that's also personal growth, as well as physical, personal, emotional, spiritual, all of those other things that just stand out. And I love that. Run for those who can't. I run because for those who can't, and doing it to inspire yourself and to inspire other people is a real driver. But another really important key that you said in your message is that it's easier to do things together. We can't, it's easier to run a marathon with a group of people, not by yourself, because you're encouraging each other. And that's really, I think at the moment, the world needs more of doing things together, because we've been isolated, there's a lot going on. And I think that's a really timely message, that we weren't built to do things alone. We need encouragement. We need to motivate each other. We need to help each other. We need to love each other. We need to lift each other up, you know, because sometimes we've got the energy to lift the other person up, and sometimes they've got the energy to lift us. And so that's a really great message as well, is it's easier to run a race, metaphorically or literally, with others around you. You have just really given me a big breath of fresh air, Hayley. I mean, you are a very positive person. I mean, I know Hayley. I've known Hayley and met Hayley a while ago, and we've been to a couple of women's business chicks events together. But you've always been a ray of sunshine and a breath of fresh air. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on and sharing your story with us, and also raising awareness for MS as well, and all the different levels of MS that people are living with. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you. And I really appreciate you inviting me on. I think, as I said, you know, you kind of don't see yourself as perhaps other people see you. So it's always really lovely to have this kind of conversation. And as I say, for me, it is about raising that awareness for other people as well. So thank you for having me. It's been
you are most pleasure. Welcome. Yeah, and you are a very humble person, and you wouldn't see that you are an amazing, inspiring unbelievable, no ordinary woman. And so I really do appreciate it. And
right back at you.
Yeah. And for the viewers watching, we'll leave a link below to MS and even MSWA if anybody wants to make a contribution to MS research and things like that. And we appreciate everybody watching another episode of No Ordinary Woman, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Bye, Hayley.
Thanks, Fiona. See ya.